What's up, friends? Welcome into Rock Chalk Sports here on KansasNation.com. Thanks for listening as well on ESPN Kansas City. With Dan Courtwright, I'm Sean Kellerman. Dan, you were very well dressed today.
So are you. We are matching.
I actually
right
had a
now.
different color hat on before I came in, but then I was like, you know what? I have a feeling Dan's going to wear a white hat.
You know what's actually great? I had a different color hat on too. I was going to wear the 22 national championship hat. I actually tried on. I have the 2008 national championship hat, and I look so stupid in that hat.
Yeah, some hats are like that, man.
Well, they age poorly, I think.
Yeah.
Like it just looks. You look at that hat.
I have that hat as well. I will wear it soon.
Yeah.
But
I had it on today, and I was like,
I like it. It's just, I don't know. If you ask Andy Flower, it's a head shape thing.
Well, yeah, that's true.
It could be head shape.
Yeah, you do have you do have a small head and big hats.
Head.
I have a normal shaped
You
head.
have a large head and small hats.
Yeah, it's just my hats fit my head accordingly. But no, yeah, we're both wearing virtually the exact same thing. One of us is pulling it off a little better than the other.
Yeah. I got this shirt. It's a little loud for me.
Sure.
So I got this shirt as a gift. It's not really I like it. It says Kansas Jayhawks.
Yeah.
It's got a Jayhawk on. Like, I love that. It's a little bit loud, but I was like, I'm going to switch it up, go with the red shirt.
The red shirt that says Kansas Jayhawks. How is that loud?
This is from the Final Four that I know you remember very well.
Yes.
Kansas attending. The Final Four itself, not as much. The game getting there was great.
Yeah.
Getting the hats and the shirts.
So Kansas did make it to the Final Four in 2018.
Okay. Four.
Because there's no record of it anywhere. This is so weird.
It happened. I saw the game. Kansas beat Duke. It was a great Elite Eight game.
Okay. I'm just
Devontae Graham,
make
shout
sure
out.
Because there's no record of it anywhere. I have a shirt and I have a
So you have the appropriate garb.
Yes.
Good.
I wasn't sure if it was a misprint or what.
No,
because again, according to the NCAA, it never happened.
Fun fact: Devontae Graham, one of 5 players in the Bill Self era to score at least 35 points in any single game.
That's right.
I'm not even going to quiz you on the other 4 just because I'm so confident in your abilities. Anyway, here's what we're getting into. We're talking KU football, believe it or not, here in the opening segment. Dan's got some information on the availability reports that come out every Wednesday. That's new this year, which is interesting. It was a topic of conversation in the offseason as to why that is a thing, but KU obviously has some guys that we need to catch up on.
It's nice for us because then there's no question in terms of like, oh, well, they're going to, it's like, oh, I hear that guy's dinged up. Nothing's came out. So it is nice for us to kind of have an outline.
Media. Maybe not as nice for some staffers, some of the coaches across college football, just because you're showing your hand a little bit more. But is what it is. That's a new rule, and we'll dive into that here in the opening segment. Next segment, we're going to hear from DK McDonald, a guy who should be extremely proud, Dan, of what just took place in the second half in Orlando. The first time Kansas has ever done that. On the road, Big 12 play. No points allowed in the second half.
Yeah.
These guys really stepped up.
Absolutely, they did. And you talk about those goal line stands and being able to finish out the game and just the complete 180 that you saw from the first half to the second half in terms of being able to corral the run game, stopping the wide receivers. And yeah, they had their other quarterback be able to come in, but it wasn't a step back in terms of quarterback play. It was more of a lateral step, right? Because Cam Fancher is just as good as Taven Jackson. So the defense probably played. I mean, this is probably the best defensive game that we've seen out of this Kansas squad, maybe in the Leipold era, right? You could even say that about the West Virginia game from this year, but I think the UCF game is a much bigger, I guess, game that defense played just because of the circumstances and the way that they were able to finish it out.
Yeah, it was more impressive. West Virginia's got a roster that's tattered and battered, and they're kind of a mess right now. UCF, Kansas was on the road and had to get it done in a big way in the second half, and that had to happen for KU to win. The offense was solid, but had to settle for some field goals. Scored 27, which isn't like a KU football offense in the Leipold era. Usually they're up in the 30s, but they got it done, and nice seeing, as I said earlier this week, the defense kind of shine and be the subject of that one. After we hear from Coach DK, we're going to do a fantasy draft as we do on Thursdays. We are switching it up a little bit, but sticking to our roots here as we are drafting something as basketball players.
Yes, we are going to be drafting starting NFL quarterbacks. I want to say this. Starting.
See, I think it'd be funny to not do starting.
So
I think it could be anybody. Like you're going to tell me I can't take Jameis Winston or who's the backup for
like Carson Wentz? Oh, he's starting right now.
Yeah, I guess starting quarterbacks right now.
Nathan Peterman.
I mean, we could draft only Cleveland Browns had this been week 1.
Yeah.
So they've gotten rid of half of their quarterback room, right?
That's right.
They had Snoop Huntley.
Yeah. Shador.
And Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco.
Well, Shador obviously still there, but yeah.
Dylan Gabriel. Did they? No, they didn't have another one. There's
the
no way.
3 they still have, literally, this is the quarterback room, are Dylan Gabriel, Shador Sanders, and Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's
and then
right.
they've dumped Snoop Huntley and
Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco.
Oh, yeah. I can't believe I forgot about
Pickett.
Deshaun Watson. I wish I could forget about Deshaun Watson, but
Kenny Pickett.
Is he still there?
No.
Okay,
No, they dumped him.
they got rid of him.
I'm
Yeah,
telling you,
that's
they're
right.
down to 3.
Man.
Anyway.
Joe Flacco, by the way, he's hitting all the bases in the AFC North, isn't he?
That's right. Yeah.
This is his 3rd AFC North team in his career.
He hasn't played for the Steelers yet.
Nope, not yet.
I love that. There's a
gonna
guy
happen.
who is actually the World Series MVP that you've never heard of. 2013 MVP. I guarantee you've never heard of this guy. His name is Steve Pearce. He was the MVP of the 2013 World Series.
We even won it.
Played for the Red Sox.
Okay.
And he played for 5 teams in his MLB career. I could be wrong about this, but I'm positive he played for all 5 of these teams. He played for 5 teams in his NFL or in his MLB career, and all 5 were in the AL East.
Is that true?
Yeah, he played for the Jays, Rays, Yankees, Red Sox, and who am I forgetting?
He played for
Orioles.
He played for the Pirates.
He did play for the Pirates.
Yes, the Orioles, Astros, Yankees.
All right, well, I was wrong.
Orioles
He played
again.
He did play
then
for
he played
all
for the-
5
yeah, he played
teams
for
in the
the
AL East, but he also
Jays.
played for those teams. All right.
Yeah, and then the Red Sox. That's crazy.
And I also said
What the hell?
2013. It was 2018. That is so strange. Steve Pearce, man, the World Series MVP.
Good for him. By the way, I didn't realize. I can't believe I didn't know this. Jermaine Dye,
Yeah.
2005.
They were talking about him
World Series MVP.
on the telecast the other night, and they were talking about, Jermaine Dye had a great career with the Royals and the Braves, and they just didn't say the White Sox, which
Yeah.
I have a friend who's a White Sox fan, so I thought that was hilarious. 'Cause,
Yeah, right,
he was
yeah.
the 05 World Series MVP.
That's it. I obviously knew he had a kind of a long career in the MLB. Played with the Royals for a long time, and he was really good. But I didn't realize he was World Series MVP.
Yeah, he
That's
was that
insane.
dude. Man, that's
Good for him.
outfield of Dye, Damon, and Beltran was electric for the Royals. Anyway, after that draft at 5 o'clock, we're going to be joined by Brian Hanni, the voice of the Kansas Jayhawks. He'll talk KU football. He'll talk about Bill Self's ridiculous run. Not sure he can give any specifics. Of course, being in KU athletics, KU hasn't officially said anything regarding the 4 guys who have gone on socials and committed to KU, but when they're allowed to, I believe it's next month, they won't be able to get more detail from Haney on that, but we'll get his excitement for Late Night in the Fog coming up next Friday for sure. We'll hear from a couple of Jayhawks following Haney. Cam Pickett and Austin Alexander spoke to the media earlier this week, and then we'll talk KU volleyball. Nice little comfortable win last night. 12 aces in the victory at Horge against Texas Tech. Perhaps a good omen as the football team heads to Lubbock. And we'll give some Thursday night football game picks as well. Eagles in action.
beast.
They're potentially kind of a mess right now.
Yeah.
But, we'll
And
see
the
if
New
they're
York
going to get right.
Football Giants,
Who are always in prime time. Always in prime
That is
time.
weird.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
It's fun. There's so much more fun with Jackson Dart.
Oh yeah, but he was also bad last week.
He wasn't that
But he
bad.
was-
Look at his numbers.
Well, sure, but he did. Like, I don't know. I didn't think he played. Yeah, he's a rookie. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Also, they don't have Lake neighbors, so that sucks for them.
That actually does suck for them. But I do think with certain quarterbacks, I was talking actually, I think with Haney the other day about this because he's a Patriots fan. So, Drake May is,
he doesn't want the world to know it, but we'll let you
He's a
know.
Patriots
He's a
fan.
Patriots fan.
Since 2001, I want to say he's been a
Is that right?
Patriots fan,
Yeah.
something like that. And then he stopped in 2020, and then he's back. Yeah, no, I can't.
Became a Bucks fan.
Supposedly, he's been a Patriots fan his whole life. But anyway, we were talking about Drake May, and I was like, man, some of those guys you just know kind of soon if they're going to pan out. Like, there's all this, they're a rookie, but like with Drake May or Bo Nix came to mind, it's like you kind of know pretty early if these guys are going to answer the bell.
Absolutely.
Patrick Mahomes comes to mind.
which they
He would
might,
be another one.
which they might even be drafted in our draft coming up today.
Who knows? We'll
Who
have to
knows?
see. All right, let's start with KU football availability report. Dan, the Hawks, the Red Raiders, getting after it. you want to say relatively healthy for both of them. What can you tell us first about Daniel Highshaw as it relates to this? Because that's the main guy, since we know, unfortunately, we won't have Deshaun Hanika the rest of the year.
Right. So it came out in the Monday morning press conference. Coach Leipold was asked about it, and he said that we could potentially see Daniel Highshaw come back for this year. And with this availability report, could be potentially sooner than we anticipated, right? Daniel Highshaw right now, he's listed as doubtful. So he's not listed as out, which I think is a good sign. Now, he still has a couple more days of practice to kind of have to get through in order to gauge where he's at. But he's listed as doubtful, so that's a good sign. I'll kind of go through some other guys in terms of where they sit on this availability report. Joe Sipp Jr. is still going to be out. We haven't seen him this year hardly at all because he's been dealing with some injury bugs. Devin Dye is going to be out. That could potentially be huge because of the fact that he had that what could have potentially been an interception against UCF, and he very apparently started holding his hamstring. And you know how, I know how bad hamstring injuries are.
You wrote the book on it.
I did. I pulled both of my hamstrings playing slow pitch softball.
I still don't believe the word pulled is the correct verb there. That was a painful.
You were making fun of me. You thought I was being a baby.
It looked awful. No, I was making fun of you because you, before we started playing slow pitch softball, were making fun of me when I said you were going to be in pain, and you were like from slow pitch softball, and then you are like limping around the office.
I have such a delusion about my athletic ability still because I used to be an athlete.
It's like 95% pride for all of us.
Oh, 100%. I bet I was talking about this with my fiance the last night. I was like, I could run a half marathon. And she's like, no, you couldn't. I was like, yeah, I could probably do it. I could finish at least. And she's like, no, you wouldn't. You would be able to. You would be dying and throwing up.
I don't think you'd be able to. 5K, sure.
Yeah, I could do a 5K easy. But like I was like, if I really tried, I could probably finish a half marathon in like 2.5 hours, 3 hours.
I bet I could do it.
Yeah, but you run.
I do run.
I don't run.
Like, I do run, but my runs are run. What I'm saying is
I could do it with no training.
Like, I run, out of breath, walk.
I could go out tomorrow and finish a half marathon in under 3 hours.
I doubt that very much.
Okay.
I don't think you could do it.
We'll see.
Anyway, continue. Hamstring issue, all that.
Issues,
yes. Devin Dye.
Yeah, I know. We kind of got off topic there. Devin Dye is going to be out of the hamstring issue. Kind of assumed that, but also don't think it's going to be relatively concerning for the future, right? I think we'll see him back for sure. Dylan Brooks is still out at defensive end. That's a guy that we haven't really talked about in terms of like that's a guy that we talked a lot about in the offseason about how that guy could be an impact guy. We always talked about Dylan Brooks as a depth piece on that defensive front. We haven't really been able to see a lot of him yet. Deshaun Hanika obviously going to be out. Saeed Gibbs is going to be out. That could be potentially concerning, considering the fact that Mason Ellis is still listed as questionable. Both those guys are playing that Hawk linebacker position, who's kind of like a hybrid linebacker, defensive back, sort of. I don't want to say rover, but sort of just a guy who likes to come down, kind of a strong safety type. So Mason Ellis is questionable, so that's good because you like to see Mason Ellis out there. He's a hard-nosed kind of kid, gets into run fits really well, does a great job in coverage. Saeed Gibbs being out is not ideal. So that Hawk linebacker position, that depth, just in terms of guys being healthy, could be potentially an issue for this squad. And then the rest of the guys, not a lot of guys you really talk about. Ezra Vedral, Wagner, legend. David Abajan, he's going to be out. Jason Strickland, Conley Hovey, and then Jaden Nickens also going to be out. We haven't seen Jaden Nickens all year. He's been on the out for the entirety of the season. And like I said, Daniel Highshaw listed as doubtful. Laquan Robinson is listed as questionable too. That's another guy who you don't talk about a lot, but that's another depth piece that you see for Kansas, just in that safety room where you know that he has the ability to be able to go out there and cover some guys and potentially make some plays. So it'll be interesting to see if Laquan Robinson's going to be able to go out there. We'll certainly see, if he's even going to be playing or suited up or whatever it may be, but I'm excited that Mason Ellis is only questionable. Hopefully he is able to kind of work back in and be able to play on Saturday, because that's going to be huge for that Hawk linebacker position.
Yeah, the safety which kind of, leaks into the Hawk linebacker spot for a couple of those guys when you're talking about Ellis and Gibbs. Safety in general has probably been more of a war of attrition for Kansas from a positional standpoint, from an injury standpoint all year. You're going to see more Jalen Dye. Obviously, Lyric Rawls is out there. I think it was Greeny yesterday said maybe Damani Maxon will get some run at some point. But Taylor Davis is out there, which is a key part. He was big in the win against UCF.
Which he went down against UCF too, and that really concerned me, where I was like, oh crap, like we're running thin. So Taylor Davis is not listed on this, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's going to be massive for KU. You have Taylor Davis, you still have Lyric Rawls. Hopefully you get Mason Ellis out there at the Hawk linebacker spot, because he made a big play, as we know, in Columbia back whatever week that was, KU's final non-con game. Take us through Texas Tech. Any major names on the Red Raider side of things?
So not really, right? I mean, they have a couple of guys, Tristan Gentry, who has a couple of receptions on the year. I think he only has 3 receptions on the year, maybe even 1. He's going to be out. He's a wide receiver for Texas Tech. Roy Alexander has no stats at all. Terrion Grant has a couple of tackles this year at the cornerback spot. He's going to be out. Chapman Lewis, also a guy who gets a little bit of play at the safety spot, and then Holton Hendricks at the O-line. So not a lot of big names that you would recognize that are going to be out. They have some questionable guys also in that realm of just some depth pieces, not exactly impact guys, right? They're not going to be losing really anybody on that defensive front that we're so concerned about. They have Amarion Banks, who's probable on the defensive line. That's a guy who does get a little bit of play as well, but still you're looking at this and you're going, man, they are a healthy squad in terms of their core group of guys. So there could be potentially some mismatches, right? They have their entire wide receiver core, their core wide receiver group of guys who play the majority of the snaps, who are going to be out there. And if Kansas truly is thin at that safety spot, that could lead to some issues for this Kansas defense, right? So hopefully you do have Mason Ellis out there. Hopefully, Taylor Davis is 100% ready to go, which, again, he's not listed on here, but he did go down against UCF, so there is some concern for that. Saeed Gibbs is going to be out. Now, could that potentially change by Friday? It could, right? Or even Saturday. We've seen that happen where guys are listed as out on Wednesday. All of a sudden, you see them playing on Saturday. So guys can heal up quicker than you anticipate. But still, Kansas is going to be thin, so they're not really losing a lot of guys. Texas Tech is, at least, right? A lot of them are their second, third string kind of guys who are rotational pieces, special teams kind of guys who are going to be out. So it is a little bit concerning just in terms of the health aspect of it. But still, I like the way that Kansas lines up against this squad. And Texas Tech, they're a top 10 team. They have all the money in the world. They have arguably the biggest, if not they probably have the biggest and the strongest defensive front in the entire Big 12. I mean, this is an SEC caliber defensive line that you're going to be going up against. So that could be some cause for concern, but obviously Jalen, we have trust in his ability to be able to get flush out of the pocket and make plays and extend those plays, and make throws on the run. So you feel good about that. You like the way that Kansas is lining up, and Kansas is riding a wave of momentum coming off that UCF game on the defensive side of things. Defense has been such a huge question mark for this Kansas team all of last year and this year too. After that UCF game, I think this is going to give the defense enough confidence to be able to stop this Texas Tech offense. I mean, look, Barry Morton's a good quarterback. They have really good pieces around them. But again, if you're riding that momentum, which I believe in momentum, I know some people don't believe in momentum, I think that Kansas is going to do well in this game.
I think you have to agree. You have to at least believe in momentum to an extent, because the guys are feeling good about themselves. Now, is that going to matter if Texas Tech goes up 7-0, 14-0? Well, then you're not going to be feeling as good about yourselves. But certainly going into this game, it beats the alternative of having to lose against Texas Tech and then go against a top 10 team on the road. Texas Tech is a number 1 team in the Big 12 in the main categories. They're the top team in the conference in scoring. They're the top team in the conference in scoring defense. We're going to have more individual breakdowns and some keys to the game tomorrow on Rock Chalk Sports. There are really good teams in this conference. Cincinnati's been impressive. TCU has been impressive. BYU hasn't lost yet. They've got a top-tier defense. But Texas Tech right now almost unanimously stands alone as the best team in the conference. And there's 16 teams, so they've used their NIL resources well. They've built a really good roster. It's going to be a tough challenge for KU. And again, tomorrow on Rock Chalk Sports, we are going to have all sorts of breakdowns and what it's going to take for Kansas to walk out of there with a victory. Because if they do walk out of there with a victory, then you've got 2 home games against teams in the bottom part of the Big 12 right now. Yeah. Not going to be easy against K-State and Oklahoma State, but if KU gets this done in Lubbock, you're feeling really good and adjusting your mindset a little bit and focused on the goals that you set in the preseason. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I think Coach Leipold said it best, where this is an opportunity, right? You're looking at this as an opportunity to essentially flip the season completely around, right? You're 4-2 right now, 2-1 in conference play. That's pretty damn good in terms of, historically over the last 15 years for Kansas, but they understand that it's not good enough. And if they want to get to that next tier, that next level, to be in Big 12 contention, to be in the conversation of going to the Big 12 championship, they have to beat Texas Tech. And we know that this squad has the guys to be able to do it, right? You look at Kansas last year. Yes, we lost some guys from last year, but Kansas beat 3 ranked teams in a row, all while being unranked. Kansas does a great job. Henry said this yesterday. Kansas does a great job at playing as the underdog. They do a good job of surprising people. So I think that Kansas is going to go down there in Lubbock and surprise some people.
Hope so. Looking forward to it. Saturday at 6:30. Coverage starts on Sports Radio 810 WHB at 5 o'clock with the Crimson and Blue Show. After this, we're going to hear from KU defensive coordinator DK McDonald. Thanks for listening. ESPN Kansas City and watching KansasNation.com.
This is Daniel Highshaw, and you're watching KansasNation.com.
Welcome back to Rock Chalk Sports here on ESPN Kansas City and KansasNation.com. KU defensively allowed -1 yard of third quarter yards to UCF last week. And, of course, no points. Hawks held on for a 27-20 comeback win. What a performance by DK McDonald's group. Let's hear from KU's defensive coordinator.
So Lance said that at halftime you basically said that you were happy with what you were calling, but that this would be executed better. What kind of contributed to, I guess, the difference in execution heading into the second half?
The guys did a really good job in the second half of just coming out and just really running the defense. We tackled a lot better. I thought we were running to the ball well in the first half, but they just did a better job in the second half, which was good to see. Really happy for the guys.
I think Texas Tech is second in the country in points per game and have a lot of explosive plays. How do you limit that as a defense?
It just comes down every part, every phase. Up front, we got to get after them a little bit and win that battle. I think we got to do a good job of covering. But they're a really good team. They're good on every level. They got a quarterback who's really special. He's like a coach on the field there. Plus, he can move around and do some things. Their wide receiver is really special. The O-line is big, and they're able to move people. The running backs are running really hard right now. So they got a lot of weapons. So it's going to take everybody, all of us, to kind of contribute to trying to slow them down if we can.
DK, I imagine goal line stands are about as good as it gets for a defensive coordinator.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Like I said, just really proud of the guys. They did a good job. There was no sour looks or anything like that. The guys were really excited about the challenge. You can just look in their eyes and see that they didn't want that team to score on them. And we did a great job in the second half, not allowing them to get in the end zone. And like you said, to kind of finish it with a goal line stance, that's really special. I think that's something those kids will always remember. So I'm really excited about the guys and what they did.
Whether you got to stop it or not, I don't exactly remember. But what do you see? You just talked about their eyes. What do you see from these players that are out there for you in that moment? They're, odds are against them at that point. Obviously, you're backed up, and are you looking at them? Are you hearing from them? Are you talking to them about how likely this is to pull this off?
You're not talking about the likelihood of pulling it off. What you're talking about is just what to expect. You're trying to help them anticipate what's going to go on. Like when they came under for the quarterback sneak, that's what we talked about. Hey, be ready for the sneak. We're going to have to pinch you and be ready to go. And you saw that was executed really well by those guys when the quarterback got in the center. All 4 guys were pinched in, and we had a guy jumping over top, and that's something we practice. So you just try to work in practice, trying to prepare those guys for the moment. Then when that moment arrives, they got to trust their training and go, and they did that. And so as a coach, that's really exciting to see when guys do that. And, the look in their eyes was they just didn't want them to score. And that was fun. That's what you want from a team, no matter what the odds are. If it's on the 1-inch yard line, you still got a chance, and you got to take advantage of that. And the guys did, so hopefully that's something we can continue to build on as a defense.
What's that feeling for you when they got the fourth down stop and they're running toward the sideline?
Just happy for the guys. I'm so excited for them. You're as a coach, you just love for guys to have success. And when they had that, that's just one of the greatest feelings of the coach. I was just happy for the guys, just what they accomplished there, and helped us win the game. And that was the big thing. To pitch a shutout in the second half in the Big 12, that's tough to do. And our guys went out and did it. So just really happy for them. It's something we got to build on, and we got a bigger challenge this week coming when we go down there to Lubbock.
So what's going through your head then when they have to go out after that goal line stop one more time for one more stop?
Stop them again. That's our job. That's why we're here. We're here to stop them. No matter how we get on the field, that doesn't matter. Our job to get off the field without them scoring. And so that's the mindset that we always have, and it's glad the guys took it up and they did a heck of a job, and just proud of them and the coaches for coaching them up and the guys for going out there and executing the way they did in the second half.
How much of a difference did McDonald make in the second half?
Huge difference. He's a playmaker for us. That's not hard to see. He does a really good job. He flies around. He made a great impact. But the biggest thing I'm proud of about Bengali is that the way he practiced all week. I mean, he practiced like a man on fire, and that's the way he played when he got out there. It wasn't no complaining about what happened, about the call, about him being suspended for a half. He was by me the whole time in the first half, looking at the pad, asking questions, ready to go, and he was like a horse ready to get out the blocks. And when he got out, he was ready to go, and he caused some havoc back there, which really helped us kind of turn the tide of the game. I think our guys really fed off his energy out there, and like I said, we played a good second half.
What maybe if you remember any of the questions that he was asking you during the game?
Just some of the fits, what guys did right there, what they did wrong, what he thought the offense was doing, kind of what I was thinking about calls coming up. So just staying involved in the game, what you want from a guy. You don't want a guy around there pouting, which he wasn't. He was involved and he was ready to go. And I'm really proud of him. He's grown a lot since he's been here, and he's really been a great contributor. And I'm excited to see what he does this Saturday.
How are you adapting to some of the injuries in the secondary?
You just got to go. You got to move forward. You just do. And, those guys got to get ready to go. We got to coach them up. We got to make sure the game plan fits for the guys who got to hop in. And then, they did a good job. It was great to see, Jalen Dye come in and get a sack and cause a fumble there. That's big. And that's just a contribute to just the work that those guys been putting in, ready to go. Like I said before, a couple weeks ago, he's a guy who's been working, but he hasn't really gotten this opportunity on the field. But it's fun when guys get their opportunity on the field. These seasons are long, so just like Taylor Davis last year, he really didn't get a shot till the second half of the season, and maybe this is Jalen Dye's time to kind of be the new TD of the year. Who knows? There's always a guy like that every year.
Something Coach Lockwood's talking about the last 2 weeks is the cushion some of the corners allow, and how some way he's phrasing it sounds like they're taking their confidence in there and giving more space. How much of that is a play call versus players and their confidence level and feeling comfortable with giving guys more space?
Yeah, I think it's about just, as a DB, you always got to know your talent level and the talent level to keep your plan, plus the call, plus the situation. There's a lot to take in there. So they're younger guys. They're filling it out. And like I said, I think in the second half, they kind of got the feel on what they can do. And now we got to try to get them to start that a little earlier as they go, because our guys can cover. They're doing a really good job this year covering guys. And so hopefully, being in a game like that where they saw in the second half they can cover, hopefully now they can continue to go. And they guarded some good wide receivers so far this year. Missouri had some great wide receivers. Cincinnati had a great collection of wide receivers. Even West Virginia has some guys who can run. So hopefully the confidence continue to build because they're going to need it this week going against this group.
How much is Austin maybe an example of that? Or the pass breakup he has, for example, at the end of the game?
Yeah, that's just a great example of a guy throughout the game just gaining more and more confidence. And, that's one of the best plays that I've seen, so far this year for a guy to be put on that island on an in-breaking route and to go without pass interference and break up a play like that, that's really special. And we talk about the goal line stands, which was great. But really that play, really helped to save the game because, the quarterback had time. He made a throw. It was a heck of a throw by the quarterback, but it was a better play by our DB. And that was fun to see for Austin.
Anything else for Coach McDonald?
That's KU defensive coordinator DK McDonald a little bit earlier this week. After this, a fantasy draft you won't want to miss. Starting quarterbacks in the NFL as basketball players. That's coming up here next on ESPN Kansas City and KansasNation.com.
Hey, this is Cole Ballard, and you're watching KansasNation.com.
John Kellerman and Dan Courtwright back here for Rock Chalk Sports, KansasNation.com and ESPN Kansas City. Thanks for joining us. Hey, next segment, we're going to be bringing on Brian Hanni, the voice of the Jayhawks, to talk about the Brian Hanni revenge game as he heads down to Lubbock with KU football as they take on number 9 ranked Texas Tech. All sorts of coverage on that tomorrow on Rock Chalk Sports, so make sure that you're locked in from 4 to 6. But right now, Dan, we are going to do a special fantasy draft.
That's
NFL QBs in the limelight.
To play basketball. We're drafting NFL quarterbacks, starting NFL quarterbacks to play basketball. I have the MIAA flipping coin from September 12th, 2019. It's from the only game I ever got meaningful playing time in. I played 3 snaps, 2 of them were victory formation. Sean, call it in the air.
I'll call it in the air.
Please call it in the air. Because the last time I flipped
Elijah's going to have to read it.
The last time I flipped it, it landed, and then you said what it was on.
Okay. That's not true. That's not true. I did not.
Is.
I still, honestly, not once have I paid attention to which is which. I couldn't tell you which is heads and which
the
is
MIAA is heads. Okay. The football player with all the teams is
now I'll
tails.
lock in so I can look at it and see.
Yes.
All right, I'll call it in the air.
Call it in the air. Ready?
Tails. I looked away.
Damn it.
It's tails again. I love it.
Ridiculous.
All right, so I get 1-1 overall. Football players as, well, quarterbacks, NFL quarterbacks, and they have to be starting quarterbacks for this week.
Starting quarterbacks for this week.
So for the Bengals, that's Jake Browning, right?
Yes.
He's still starting this week. He won't be starting next week,
right?
I assume.
So would you want to have Joe Flacco? He's tall.
I'm just saying he's tall. I'm just saying we want to make
like
sure we're going off the same 32 guys, right?
6'9".
I don't know, something like that. Anyway, well, we're gonna have a point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center, and head coach.
Yes.
So
head coach.
I'm gonna go 1-1 overall. I think this is the clear answer here. At my power forward, I'm taking Josh Allen.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Did you have him on your list?
I watched a little film on him.
6'5". There was another option here, but I just like the size. He's not the tallest quarterback in the league. In fact, Dan and I probably have both researched who the tallest ones are to fill out a basketball roster. But 6'5"
That's the only criteria, by the way.
Is close to the tallest guy in terms of NFL starting quarterbacks. Plus, I mean, he's Josh Allen. I mean, he's tough to bring down. He's got the size. He's got the build of a power forward type player. So I like having him as kind of my stable rock at my 4 spots.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the other options you can look across the NFL quarterbacks and you could say, yeah, I could see this guy fitting there. But power forward, I just don't know if anybody's going to be able to match up with Josh Allen there.
I mean, there are some guys, right? He's good with his legs. I think that's a good pick. 1-1 overall is kind of crazy to me.
Is it?
I think so. I think there are guys who are a little bit more athletic. Yeah, he's got the size and the length, but also there are some guys where I think they can match up relatively well with him. So that's your power forward, Josh Allen.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a good pick is what it is.
Sure. Okay, so I'm going to go with 2. So I have 2 back-to-back here, and I have 2 solid ones that I absolutely love. With my first pick, I'm going to go, and you can yell at me, say this is a pander pick or whatever. I don't care.
I'm not really a yeller. I don't really yell.
You don't yell. He's not a yeller.
I really don't.
No, he's a gentle
I'm very
parent.
docile. Yes.
Could be a pander pick, but
who could this possibly be?
Chiefs made this guy stop playing basketball because he just signed.
I can't even think of
No,
it.
all right. It's Patrick Mahomes. I'm taking Patrick Mahomes as my number 1 overall pick.
Yeah.
But the reason is because there was a clip that came out of him playing pickup basketball, and he looked like a monster.
I get it.
He looked like a monster. I mean, oh my gosh.
Right.
And the Chiefs, it was right after, or it was either right after or right before he had just signed that big $500 million contract. And the Chiefs were like, hey, man, you cannot be playing pickup basketball. We're paying you a lot of money. Do not get hurt. But he looked good. Man, he's got the handles. So I'm going to put him at my small forward position.
Okay. That actually makes me feel good because I'm going to see where you go here. It's snake draft, so obviously you get the next pick as well, but I know how I'm going to react to that. I'm going to change what I'm doing from a strategy standpoint because of that pick.
Sure. Okay.
Obviously, Mahomes is going to get taken early, but yeah, let me know here on your next pick.
So I'm actually going to go with an undersized guy here. a guy who I think is going to be nasty at the point guard spot. He's shifty. He just looks like he would be.
How undersized are we talking?
A little undersized, not as undersized as maybe you're thinking.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with the Carolina Panthers quarterback Bryce Young.
I don't see the athleticism
Are
there.
you kidding me?
I don't see
Won
enough
the Heisman.
athleticism. That's
How?
great. That's great. You know who else won the Heisman?
Charlie Ward.
Trent Richardson.
He did not win the Heisman.
Yeah, he did.
Trent Richardson did not win the Heisman.
Yes, Heisman winners.
Mark Ingram and
And-
Derrick Henry.
And Trent Richardson won the Heisman.
I promise you that's not true.
God, you're right.
I know I'm right.
What year was that?
I don't know,
Trent
like
Richardson,
2013, maybe?
Heisman.
2012? Was
Let's
he
see.
after Mark Ingram?
He finished third in the Heisman.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. All-time Brown.
You know who else won the Heisman?
Cleveland Brown great.
Colin Klein. No, that's not true. That's not true at all. What are you talking about? No. But yeah, also Charlie Ward won the Heisman. He played in the NBA. Bryce Young, though.
Cam Ward.
Also, Cam Ward won the Heisman.
I don't like that
he's
pick.
small and undersized. I mean, in terms of a point guard, he's a facilitator. I think he needs to work on his passing, as we can tell.
Yeah, he's bad. That's the problem. That's a terrible pick.
Football. I think he's athletic. I think at the point guard spot, I think he'll be able to facilitate the ball and get the ball to Mahomes whenever he needs
dreadful.
to.
That's
he
dreadful.
reminds me. What he reminds me of like a DeJuan Harris, just a guy who's just a good dude, a facilitator. I think he'd be a good point guard. Why Bryce Young is not a bad pick. I don't know where you're coming at.
Man, I have two picks right now that are gonna win me this, unfortunately.
Okay, sure.
I
mean, I have Patrick Mahomes, so like
it actually, I just gotta say, it feels so good to finally win one of these drafts. Like I'm so happy that I was able to get it done today because, it's been a little bit of a grind the past two, but I finally found a way to win.
You've only picked
I'm
one player.
Yeah, I know, but my next two are gonna win it.
I can't.
I mean,
imagine
Josh Allen's a
this
great pick. Okay, I get Mahomes at small forward, right? Obviously, he's a baller. I get that. If I were the Chiefs, I would have done the same thing, which sucks. Everybody loves playing pickup, but
Of course,
we're paying you
$500 million.
we're throwing a few bucks at you, so
$500 million.
you need to. Anyway, but the one guy who I'm gonna take to offset Mahomes, maybe that's not the right word, but annoy,
So you're going small forward here.
perturb. You went small
Perturb.
forward, so I'm going small forward to kind of get in the way of Mahomes and be a pest, the pest that you hate. You hate having him across the court from you. You love having him on your team. He's going to be annoying. He's going to be chirping. Give me Baker Mayfield at small forward. Baker at small forward
It's gonna be a high
is
scoring
my
game.
pick there.
Last
He's
time
just
those
gonna be-
guys faced off in college. High-scoring game.
Exactly, and that was the other thinking is Mahomes threw 88 passes in that game.
That's
which is
crazy, by the
insane.
way,
But
yeah.
those guys, tit for tat. So I like that where Baker's going to be that. I mean, is there a more annoying? I love Baker Mayfield. I mean, I don't love him because of the KU thing,
Yeah,
but
he's hard.
everybody likes him more
He's
and
hard
more.
to hate. Yeah,
And people, for some reason, right? I don't know why.
He's a good guy.
Anyway, but then I've got.
Okay, so, but like, how tall is Baker though? He's like 5'10", isn't he?
He is undersized. I love how we're both doing this. He's 6'1".
6'1". Okay,
So Mahomes is what, 6'2"?
he's probably 6'3".
Yeah, he's 6'2". So, I mean, I'm fine. Again, I like Baker matching up with Mahomes there.
Okay,
Defensive
I
pass.
don't hate that.
And then I'm going to my shooting guard position. Right now, I've got Josh Allen at power forward. He's got the strength. He's got the size.
Sure.
Baker Mayfield, he's the pest. He's the offensive rebound. He's the loose ball guy. And then at shooting guard, I need somebody who is electric, somebody who can fill it up, big play. Give me Jaden Daniels at shooting guard.
Yeah.
So I'm taking Jaden Daniels from the Washington football team.
Are
at
you
my shooting
concerned
guard
about his
position.
mother at all?
That's true. I will also.
So his mom will
I will
not
also.
allow him
I will
to
also
play
draft
basketball.
her. I guess.
Okay, sure.
As
Yeah,
a
she'll be
fan of the team.
right, but like, I mean, she'll wrap him in bubble wrap.
That's
you
true.
know what I mean? Like
That's
that,
true.
like she is the most overprotective mother I've ever seen. Like the Chiefs made Patrick Mahomes stop playing basketball. I'm afraid Jaden Daniels' mom would not allow him to play basketball. That is true. She's a little just too like. Do you want? It's almost
airplane parent.
It's almost like drafting like one of the Ball brothers, right? You're like, yeah, but
You're getting LeVar
yeah,
too.
You're getting LeVar. You're getting LeVar, and that's you don't do you want look? LaMelo has had a great career, and LeVar has kind of stepped out of the limelight. I think that's great, but it's just, do you want that energy around your locker room?
I do. It's worth it. It's
Okay,
worth it for
fair enough.
Jaden. He's got the
Okay.
playmaking ability.
I respect that.
Yeah.
I respect that. So, all right, you have Josh Allen as your power forward. Baker Mayfield is your small forward. Jaden Daniels is your shooting guard, which I believe Jaden Daniels is taller than Baker Mayfield. So there is that.
Could be.
So
That's all right.
is
We
there a
don't
little
have
bit
to go-
of
we
a
don't-
position
that's
mismatch
fine.
there?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have Patrick Mahomes as my small forward, and I have Bryce Young as my point guard. I'm going to go with, man, I have a couple of options here. I guess I have 2 back-to-backs, so it doesn't really matter. At my power forward position, to offset Josh Allen, I think there's one player in the NFL who I think would do a good job of that. He's a tough son of a gun. He has great IQ. Give me Justin Herbert.
Okay.
At the power forward spot.
Yeah, he's got size. He's 6'6", I believe.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that. I do think that Josh Allen's going to kind of bully him, man, and throw him around down the block.
I think it's going to be a battle for the ages. That's like Yao Ming and Shaq battling down low.
Okay.
Well, I guess they're power forwards, so it doesn't really make sense. But you get the gist.
I get the reference.
You understand the reference where it's like they enhance each other's abilities, but they also kind of offset each other too.
Mhm.
So I think I like
Okay.
Justin Herbert at that power forward spot.
If he puts on a little bit of muscle, I think that
I think so too.
you'd have a better shot. Where are you going next?
So let's see. I have Justin Herbert. I need a center, and I don't know who it could possibly be. You know what? I'm gonna go with my shooting guard here, and this is a guy. No. I know who my center's gonna be. Gonna be. My center is going to be Jalen Hurts. Here's why. Because he's so good at those short shots around the rim.
Yes.
You know how he's so good at the short yardage stuff, right? And he's not going to pass the ball when he gets the ball down low. That's a concern of mine. Where he doesn't like passing the ball.
That's the problem.
But he can get up and down the court, I think, relatively easy, right? He's got a lot of stamina. I think I like him underneath the rim there. He's a powerful. The guy squats like 650. Why are you laughing at me? I like Jalen Hurts there.
I'm gonna replay what you just said.
What did I say?
Okay, that's fine. Jalen Hurts there. We will revisit that clip. Maybe you'll see it on our socials a little bit later. All right. I'm going center. That's too easy. It's my pick, right?
Yeah.
Back-to-back picks. I'm taking your boy. I was certain you were going to take him. But at center, give me Trevor Lawrence. He's tall. He's lanky. I don't need a lot from him. Tallest guy in the league, I think, 6'6", so he's tied with a couple other guys. Interesting, the Lawrence Hurts combination there. T-Law's obviously got the size over him, but you made some very good points.
With Jalen Hurts, he reminds me of like a PJ Washington type of guy, where like PJ Washington played center in the league forever, and he was only 6'6". Right, but he was just a pest, and he was strong, and I liked Jalen Hurts.
I just need Trevor Lawrence.
What did I say? Something wrong?
I just need Trevor Lawrence to catch the ball, just catch the ball and dish it out, and a little bit of both. In terms of I've got
Does the coordination make you nervous at all?
It does, but that happens.
You saw the coordination at the end of the game where it's just like the Chiefs should have tackled him.
Right. But he found a way to make a play.
Did.
I'm going directly opposite for my next pick at point guard. Give me Kyler Murray.
Okay.
He's a jitterbug, for lack of a better way of putting it. He's going to run around. He's going to make plays. He's going to distribute. He's going to distribute on the run, different types of passes. If he has to take it himself, he will. Think Frank Mason.
Okay.
Undersized, but obviously has the speed to get up. So I feel really good about where I'm at. Kyler Murray at point guard, Jaden Daniels at shooting guard. That's where my points are going to come from. My glue guy, my 50-50 ball guy is Baker Mayfield at small forward. Josh Allen gives me the strength that I need at power forward. And then Trevor Lawrence is just tall.
Yeah,
So-
Trevor Lawrence is just tall. I like that. So I have my shooting guard and my head coach next. All you have left is a head coach.
Yes.
With my shooting guard, I can't believe I didn't think about this before. I just thought about it. This is a guy, basketball runs through his blood. He had a brother who had one of the biggest shots in NCAA tournament history and Luke May.
Mm-hmm.
Give me Drake May.
Yes.
Drake May. It's in his blood, man.
Okay.
You know he grew up playing basketball against Luke May.
You know what?
You know it's there.
The voice of the Kansas Jayhawks, Brian Hanni, will be here very soon, and he's gonna love that pick as he is a noted Patriots fan. So Drake May is gonna be your shooting guard.
He will be my shooting guard, and then for my head coach position, you know what? I kind of don't want to. I wanted to go with somebody older, right? A guy who is a natural born leader, but like the only old guy who's starting right now is Aaron Rodgers, and I don't think he's a natural born. I don't think he's a leader. Give me Dak Prescott as my head coach.
Man, this may be the worst draft you've ever done.
Why is that a bad pick? Dak Prescott,
Because all he does is lose.
That's not true. He beat Tom Brady.
Sometimes he
Tom
ties.
Brady's last
He did
game.
tie the
Yes,
Packers.
he tied the Packers. I like Dak Prescott. He seems to have, like, if you ever watch, he's one of those guys who gives kind of boring answers, right? His press conferences, but he always has his head screwed on straight. I think in the heat of the moment, like, he can get all fired up and kind of get under his player's skin. But look, if they go out there and lose the game, he's going to face the media and tell you exactly what went wrong. So that's what I like about Dak Prescott. Give me Dak Prescott as my head coach.
All right. Well, I feel confident with my head coach here. We are going to have obviously some honorable mentions, but we're looking at guys who are current starting quarterbacks. I considered a guy who is just filling in right now, but I'm going to go to an initial starter, a guy we expected to be a starter from the jump. At head coach, a leader, grizzled guy, got a little bit of gray in his beard, all that sort of thing. Give me Matt Stafford.
Yeah, that's a good pick. He was my other pick.
Matt Stafford at head coach. Just seems like a guy who's going to remain in football.
So that's the thing. He just, like, to me, there's a little bit of too much vanity there, if that makes sense, right? Because he got the veneers in, and he's living in LA, living the easy life, drinking those Haley Bieber smoothies, hanging out with Henry Greenstein all the time. It's just like,
yeah.
And like, we all know Henry's a bad influence, right? Do you want your head coach hanging out with a guy like Henry?
Ooh, I know. There's going to have to be some.
No, I mean, there's got, like, he to me, it's like a Bobby Petrino type of, like, do you want that in the locker room? You know what I mean? Like, do you want that kind of guy to be leading your team?
Do you have anybody from California on here?
I mean, Justin Herbert.
That's right. That's
LA.
it. Yeah.
LA guy.
There you go.
But Justin Herbert, he's got his head on straight.
Yeah.
We
think so.
He's never been.
We think.
Like, he didn't have to go out and get a $20,000 new mouth. You know what I mean?
Hey, you know what? He had money. He has money. I'm happy with it.
Sure, but it's like, I
don't blame him. Whatever. Aaron Judge went and got new teeth, and good for him.
So I guess I haven't really. He did get the gap fixed.
Yeah, dude.
See,
you've been out of the game.
I know. I guess it's just I don't like that because it's vanity, and B, it's like that.
It had a little bit of character to it. That's true.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Like if Michael Strahan went and got
right.
his teeth
No, I
fixed,
get it.
he'd just be another guy.
Right. That's all right. Judge still is an MVP type player, so I think he's done all right. I've got real quick because I know we're up against a break. Got Kyler Murray at point guard, Jaden Daniels shooting guard, Baker Mayfield small forward, Josh Allen power forward, Trevor Lawrence at center, and Matt Stafford calling the shots.
And my point guard is Bryce Young, shooting guard Drake May, small forward got Patrick Mahomes, power forward Justin Herbert's, center Jalen Hurts, and head coach Dak Prescott.
Very, very interesting draft by guys like you. After this, we're going to be joined by the voice of the Kansas Jayhawks, Brian Hanni, to talk all thing KU football and more. Thanks for listening on ESPN Kansas City and watching KansasNation.com.
This is Dale Highshaw, and you're watching KansasNation.com.
Welcome back to KansasNation.com. Sean Kellerman and Dan Courtwright. Pleased now to be joined, as we are every Thursday, by the voice of the Jayhawks, Brian Hanni. BH, thanks again for coming on. We're going to talk KU football, of course. Exciting, beautiful, gorgeous victory in Orlando in a messy game. But we just did a draft NFL quarterbacks as basketball players, and your boy Drake May got selected by Dan Courtwright actually because of basketball in his blood.
Yeah. Luke May. He has one of the biggest shots ever. So
Totally.
am I wrong for thinking that way?
But Patriots had a huge win Sunday night against the Bills in Western New York, and I was kind of joking around a little bit earlier saying that you started becoming a Patriots fan about around the time of Brady's first Super Bowl.
No.
But we know that you do support the Chiefs.
No,
We should get that out
I'm
there.
a big Drake May guy, though. I met
Yes.
Drake at the draft a couple years ago in Detroit, and he was the most down-to-earth, just like humble, approachable, easy to love guy in a draft class where there was one or two guys at his position that weren't the same way necessarily. And he charmed me, man. I was impressed with him. He is, to me, kind of a hybrid of Herbert and Josh Allen. And so I think he's going to be one of the next great things in NFL football at quarterback position. But specific to the basketball question, yeah, his brother played at North Carolina, and there's some YouTube stuff of Drake's high school days where he's lighting it up from three.
See?
So he's a talented dude.
There you
If this
go.
was a basketball draft, I would have picked him pretty high too as a sharpshooter on the wing.
He was
Fair
my
enough.
last pick in the draft.
Yeah,
so.
well, we picked. Dan had actually picked Patrick Mahomes, which, as you know, the Chiefs respectfully told him to pull back on playing hoops.
I've got a line on that for you too.
Yeah.
When I was at Tech, obviously Patrick was there for a couple of his seasons. Tubby Smith was our basketball coach at the time. Patrick had played half a season of college baseball with Tim Tadlock. Obviously was all in on football at that point. But Tubby was asked on repeated occasion if Patrick had come to you and asked to walk on the basketball team. He said absolutely. He could have played basketball.
Yeah.
Athletically, everything. He absolutely could have played basketball at the D1 level.
So what you're saying is I win this draft.
If you got those two,
Hey,
it's a pretty good start.
You know, I remember when we first were talking, not to get on too much of a tangent, about Drake May, though, before he started, and you said, I think, before last season, you were excited for his career. And then you and I think, were talking the other day about how there are certain guys who you kind of know pretty early, whether it's Drake May or Bo Nix, Patrick Mahomes, Jaden Daniels, and another that comes to mind. Like, obviously, there's going to be some growing pains, but you kind of know in the first 3 or 4 starts if they're going to be a real guy. And Drake May turned into that for sure. So, yeah, we got to talk KU football with you. But first, I want to give you a chance to talk about Todd Leaper Williams, a special recognition KU football did the other day. How cool is that for one of KU's biggest fans?
Man, the legend, Todd Leaper Williams. I think the coolest part for me, and by the way, Greg Gurley did an awesome job emceeing the big banquet we had. But the highlight, outside of anything that Greg or Todd said themselves, was the video montage of probably 40-plus former KU football players. When you've been around a program for 55 years like he has, and as multiple people said, Todd never has a bad day. He's always pumped up, always got a smile on his face. We're always going to beat the team we're playing next, no matter who that is. He stopped me in the tunnel yesterday. I was walking out to practice to meet up with Coach McDonald afterwards, and he stopped me. He says, Brian, we got to talk about Texas Tech now. We're going to win this one, right? And he's like, this is how we're going to do it, you know? And he's convinced.
Yeah.
So you need to get him in here. In fact, we've talked about that on our
Of
future
course.
Haney and the Hawks, but he is a guy that obviously his family has given so generously, and he has given so generously, including now a scholarship fund annually for KU football student managers, which is
That's
really
awesome.
cool. But now with everything they've given to the Gateway District project, with everything they've done for the new booth, to have his name adorn the top of the equipment room, which is a fabulous new facility. And I'm so proud that it came together the way it did. Obviously, Heimer, Darren, our current equipment manager, they both spoke and just had glowing things to say, but a special legacy for an all-time great Jayhawk and a guy that bleeds crimson and blue as much as anybody that you've had sit on this couch and cares about it as much as anybody. And so it's really neat that he got the love that he's gotten this week. And the press junket will continue for him. He pointed out in his acceptance speech, Chris Tyson is my personal sports information director. If Gary Bedore or Henry or whoever wants to interview me, I'll be happy to do as many
That's
interviews.
fantastic.
I
Yeah,
love it.
we will
So
definitely
good.
get him
great.
in here at some point too.
Yes.
Great personality, and like you said, never has a bad day. Just one of those feel good people in general regarding all things KU. So yeah, a shout out to Leaper Williams.
Yeah, well
as well.
deserved
Yeah.
too. Yeah, absolutely well deserved. A legend here in Lawrence. Brian, speaking of KU football, as much as we want to preview this Texas Tech game, the Brian Hanni revenge game, if you will, Want to talk about, just kind of put a bow on this UCF game, right? The UCF game was absolutely monstrous for the defense to gain some momentum, because there have been a lot of question marks about the defense in terms of closing out games. They had the big 4th down stop, as well as being able to close out that game. Jalen Dye had the massive hit on Taven Jackson, forced a fumble for Kansas to go ahead and score the go-ahead touchdown. What did you see out of that UCF game, and what did you see maybe differently in that UCF game than potentially what you saw in the first 5 games?
Well, I think the number 5, let's not say 5 games, but let's say last 5 quarters defensively, because the UCF game and the Cincinnati game and the first quarter of the UCF game, defensively, we were obviously not in a good spot. And we were worried that, is this going to be a problem this season? Because obviously they were beat up in the secondary. They had 2 games in which targeting penalties from the previous game had affected at least a half of the next game. And for 5 quarters in there, our defense was looking pretty vulnerable. At the end of quarter number 1 and 5 seconds into quarter number 2 in Orlando, they were taking anything they wanted on the ground at over 10 yards a carry, and it felt like we're going to be in for a long night. But we saw Kansas start to string together some, if not stops, some make them settle for 3 type defensive drives. Then they got Kamara back in the second half, and with not a ton of changes schematically, just the old-fashioned try harder speech and let's execute better speech, they go out there and turn in one of the best halves of defensive football that we've seen the last couple of years. I put it better than anything in the West Virginia game, because I think UCF is more potent than West Virginia, certainly UCF at home. And so to pitch a second half shutout where so many different Jayhawks had a disruptive play, or a tackle for loss here, a pass defended there. I mean, there were literally 8 or 9 guys that had an individual defensive highlight moment in that second half that contributed to a second half shutout. Kamara's return clearly injected a ton of confidence and momentum into the defense, but the famous conversation that was had, I say famous now because we've talked about it 10 times this week, but Coach Leipold goes to DK and says, what do we need to change? And he said, honestly, I really like our game plan. We're not setting the edge, though. The execution hasn't been there. We need a little more effort and strain out of these guys. And yeah, getting number 1 back is going to help, but I think our plan is good. I wouldn't divert too much from that. And so they went out and brought it a little bit stronger and certainly executed a whole lot better. And that's the type of second half performance that if you weren't playing a team that averages 49 a game the very next week, you might say, is that the turning point, like springboard type effort that galvanizes this group and sets them on a different trajectory defensively? Maybe it still could be, but it was definitely a turning point in the season. Because if you lose that game, where are you projecting them in the second half when the schedule gets, apparently on paper, significantly more challenging? I don't know. So I think it was a mammoth win. It was an incredible second half effort defensively, and it's one that I hope pays dividends going forward. But even if you don't see, worlds better of improvement in Lubbock, know that we had to have it on that night. And I think certain guys gained confidence. Dak Brinkley makes a big play, had big plays, that they can draw from later that are going to help you win other games too.
Yeah, absolutely. And this, again, is one of those games that I've talked about throughout this week. I mean, we'll look back on 2025 Kansas football. We have a lot of memories to be made, a lot of games to still be won, but this is a game that I think almost could define this season if Kansas is able to put together, 3, 4, 5, however many more wins they have. Because, again, not only are you 3-3 if you lose that game, maybe you got a few fair weather fans checking out and all that. They'd come back for the K-State game and then, move on. This is okay. Now we're 4-2, 2-1. You could puff your chest out a little bit. Yep. And a shout out to the defense. I thought it was funny. Coach Leipold, with all the things that the fans and the media say regarding defense, whatever they did in the second half, keep it going. They're not going to install a new defense, right? It just was that energy. Leroy Harris, a couple big bat downs as well, but it started with Kamara. The secondary had a couple guys make great plays, and that's a great point. How 8 or 9 different guys had their individual moment, and that collective team effort, which Kansas needed, were huge, particularly those last 2 stops.
Really was. And I think if there's one thing the 4 of us, including Elijah, can all agree on 6 games in, Trey Lathan's a first-team All-Big 12 linebacker. He's had that kind of season. I mean, his His nose is on the ball, and he is making plays left and right. If he could have held on to that potential interception in the Cincinnati game, I mean, you're talking about one of the household names conference-wide halfway through this year. But I've been so impressed with him. But I think your emerging contributions, I mean, it was obviously the biggest play of Jalen Dye's career. So cool that it happened with his dad in the stands. And they've been at every game, let's be clear. But it's been cool seeing Jermaine Dye around the hotel, on the road and talking baseball with him a little bit and how proud he is of both Devin and Jalen. I just hated that Devin got hurt on what could have been an interception play for him too. But what a great family. And that's one of the benefits of being a former big league all-star. He has the resources to travel around and be at every single game for his two sons. And they've got a daughter who I guess is an outstanding volleyball player at Tennessee too. So pretty good genetics in that family athletically.
Yeah, no kidding.
But yeah, the point is you had some guys like a Jalen Dye or a Dak Brinkley, step up and deliver some contributions that we don't win without. Austin Alexander had a pass breakup that we might not win without. And so I think for those guys, those are the types of building block moments that are going to help you going forward, in addition to getting an absolute must win on that particular day. We've spent all this time on the defense. Real quickly, got to shout out my man Finn Lappin, since he was on Hawk Talk last night, the punter from down under. This guy with a 48 and 49-yard boot when he was kicking out of his own end zone or at the goal line. Did that with his parents in the stands who've been back for the last 3 weeks. They had to fly home to Australia the next day. But those were huge plays that if on a wet night with a slippery track and a wet ball, if it goes off the side of his foot or if he slips and they're taking over on the 35 of us, look out.
Yeah.
Maybe
Changes
we don't
the
win.
game. Yeah.
So like these are huge plays. And I just felt like it was one of those total team wins where so many different guys had a hand in it. And sometimes those are your best victories because they're the biggest springboards going forward.
Yeah. Brian Hanni, voice of the Jayhawks, joins us here in studio. And Brian wanted to flip the field, look at the offense. Obviously, Jalen had a great game as well, but Le'Shawn Williams has really been able to step up and take advantage of the opportunity that's been given to him. Now, Daniel Highshaw, we still might see him potentially this week. I know he's listed as doubtful, but still he's working his way back into playing form. What are you seeing out of the offense so far? Because we're seeing a lot of great things out of Cam Pickett, who's getting back to being healthy, Bryson Canty as well, Le'Shawn Williams. What are you seeing out of the offense?
Well, a lot of guys to cover in there. First off, with the run game, great to see Le'Shawn have the performance that he did. It was wild in looking at his game logs in the middle of the game. Like, we're in a commercial break and I'm pulling up all of his seasons at Iowa, and I'm like, he really only had 2 touchdowns like in a full year, twice for Iowa. And he was all Big Ten honorable mention, but he never had more than 2 touchdowns all season.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I didn't realize that heading into the game. I just assumed, a guy like that is going to have multiple touchdowns.
You hear the awards, the recognition. Yeah,
totally. And yet he gets 3 in one game and, continues to take that baton and run with it in Highshaw's absence. Highshaw will be back.
Yeah.
And whether it's this weekend or the K-State game, he's gaining on it. He's getting closer. And so for the folks that have written him off, hey, he's going to play a big role in the second half of the season one way or another. But the job that Le'Shawn's done, not missing a beat with him out. And I think Harry Stewart, he's developing more and more, blossoming before our eyes. What we see in practice, you don't always see in big doses on game day. But I'm telling you, that guy's coming on. So really, really pleased with the depth at running back. You mentioned Cam Pickett. He told us it was the first time he'd felt fully healthy since that first game of the season. Remember talking after week 0, thinking he was going to be like our target monster this year,
right?
As much as he was targeted in the first half of that game. And I think there's a lot of things he can bring, including that amazing concentration juggling catch that's, are going to help this receiver core a lot. And I keep sprinkling this name in here, guys, and I know he hasn't flashed much yet, but I watch him every day and I'm just like, Bryson Canty at some point is going to make a big play.
Yeah.
It's in there. I know Levi Wentz has not been as much a factor of late, and he's still a guy you got to feed. Keaton Quebeca has had his flashes. But what I'm getting at in mentioning some of these other names that are further down the list is I think Rob Ianello and Lance Leipold have built a really good roster that you've got capable playmakers 4 or 5 spots deep. And maybe that's most evident right now in the tight end position where you lose to Sean Hanika for the season. And what a heartbreaking, gut-wrenching thing for this young man, by the way. Give me 15 seconds on him. He just goes through a year-long Achilles tear, rupture, recovery, comes back. In his mind, he's an NFL tight end. In his mind, he thinks he can go out and prove that he deserves, if not a combine invite, some kind of NFL opportunity. and then this hits when he's got a baby due in less than 2 months.
Yeah.
And happily married. His personal life could not be going better.
Yeah.
But now his professional life, right now takes a huge hit. He's a man of great character, resilience, resolve. He's going to come back from this, whatever is next for him. I would bet on that kid every day of the week and twice on Sunday, because that's the type of character he has. But man, to have to endure both of those back to back just breaks your heart. Real quickly though, he goes down, Bowden Gruen steps up. Bowden Gruen has been fantastic. 46-yard play, most of which after the catch, gets you really excited about what we have there, with Carson Brune being your long-term big picture guy. But for a 1-year plug and play from a guy they signed on May the 25th or whenever he committed, he has paid immediate dividends, and it really makes you excited again about the quality of depth we have in a next man up kind of sport. Kansas seemingly at almost every position, it's really looking good in terms of their depth.
Yeah, 100%. And wanted to talk to you just a little bit more about the offense, because it's no secret to anybody that Texas Tech has a lot of resources, and they're utilizing those resources quite well in terms of getting a lot of huge players, right? And this defensive front is probably going to be the biggest one that we see all year. How does this Kansas offense line up against such a star-studded, heavy, big defense like this Texas Tech defense?
Well, I think it's important, if you're Kansas, to not think of them as otherworldly, because this is where you're glad you scheduled Missouri. The defensive front of Mizzou, particularly on the D-line, is very comparable to what you'll face this week. Is Tech better? Maybe. For the purposes of a Kansas show, yes, they're better than Mizzou.
Yeah.
But the point is, aren't you glad you scheduled Mizzou now? And now there were some things in that game where their D-line outplayed our O-line. It's a little bit concerning, but you had a fourth quarter lead against a comparable defensive front talent-wise, thinking in particular about the 2 Georgia transfers Mizzou had. Obviously this is the best linebacker we'll face all year in Jacob Rodriguez, preseason Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year. They're really, really good. Only giving up 11 points a game. They're averaging 49 points a game. You can run through all the great superlatives of, there's nobody else that's undefeated through 5 games in the FBS that's won every game by at least 20 points. You can talk about how there's only 3 teams in the FBS that are top 10 in both scoring output by your offense and the defensive numbers you're giving up in terms of opponent scoring. They're one of those 3. There's no other way to slice it or dice it. But at the end of the day, we got to see it over 12 games, not 5 games. And they've got 2 really impressive wins. I'm not shaking a stick at going into Utah when they're ranked 16th and you hold them to 11 points in their house, or holding Houston to 10 in their house. I mean, we're talking, I guess I got those backwards. They held Utah to 10 and Houston to 11.
Right, yeah.
They won in both cases by 24 points on the road. But what haven't they done? They haven't won a close game yet. And that's a credit to how dominant they've been. But as they get deeper into their schedule, starting this weekend with Kansas, they may be tested a little bit more to where they have to step up and make those plays in a 1-score game in crunch time. I know our track record in crunch time the last couple of years has left something to be desired, but I'm excited about the way Kansas closed in Orlando. I'm hopeful and optimistic that closeout, particularly defensively, in a late game on the line scenario, gives Kansas a lot of momentum going forward. And I'm curious, can Kansas get Tech into a 1-score game in the 4th, put them in uncharted waters? How do they react? Can our D-line heat up Baron Morton with pressure he hasn't seen yet this year? I don't know. I'm not saying we will, but I'd love to see that, because right now they've made it look pretty elementary through 5 games, and that's a credit to them. That's not saying they've scheduled lightly. 2 huge road wins by big numbers. But what happens if it gets close and tight around the collar? What if Kansas can be disruptive? What if Jalen Daniels downfield to Emmanuel Henderson is the most explosive deep play vertical threat they've had all year, and Jalen's got just enough time back there to really let it rip? I don't know if he will, because they're really imposing up front. I hope our O-line has a great game. There's things Kansas can do to roll Jalen out and buy time, throw on the run, all that. But I'm thinking that there's some things Kansas will throw at Tech that will be unlike Tech has seen 5 games in. And I'm hoping that's enough to make for a great game on Saturday night. Because if so, we got an awesome shot to shock the conference and shock the country. And if you can somehow pull that one off, then you're right back in a whole different conversation in the Big 12 race, and you get back what you gave up in a home loss to Cincinnati.
Yeah, all week I've been thinking, hey, that win against UCF has got to have these guys feeling good. I mean, again, the margin between winning and losing is so thin, but you feel so different. You feel so much better getting a road win. Now you're going in saying, hey, yeah, we're 4-2. You know, we're 2-1 in Big 12 play. We've got a couple wins already. We can go, and everybody says that we're not going to win this game, but KU should have the mindset that they absolutely can. One thing that we've noticed defensively, and you brought up a great point regarding KU's offense, it all starts up front against a top-tier Texas Tech D-line. But for KU defensively, the difference has been so clear when they've pressured a quarterback versus when they haven't. You alluded to it a little bit, but you look, and Brendan Sorsby, that game when Cincinnati was here, that's a perfect example. He was not good when KU pressured him. It just didn't happen enough, right? Same deal. Those UCF quarterbacks, whether it was Jackson or Fancher, they couldn't do anything in that second half when KU would pressure them, and a lot of different guys had a hand in that. But it seems like stopping Morton, a guy who's got a nearly 70% completion percentage so far, is going to start with making him uncomfortable.
Completely agree. It needs to be our defensive front's best game of the year. And obviously they've got some guys up front in the trenches that have been great in pass pro for him this year, but can Leroy Harris have one of those breakout type games? Can Justice Finkley step up, a former Texas Longhorn back in the Lone Star State, and deliver his best game in a Kansas uniform? Blake Harrell, I think in league play, has been one of your most impactful pass rushers to this point. Is this a game where he emerges? This is another spot similar to what we were talking about offensive depth, where we can come at you in waves, and there's literally 10 different guys in that defensive front that on any given night could step up and make a game-altering play. You're going to have several of those, and I think takeaways are huge in this one, and they are every week. Don't get me wrong. That's the easiest, most cliched key answer that a coach can give you in a pregame interview. Well, we got to win the turnover battle. But hey, when you're trying to beat a team in their house, on their homecoming, in a blackout, tortillas flying, all that, when they're averaging 49 a game offensively and only giving up about 11, what's your way to close the gap as much as any? Win the takeaway battle. Get a couple of game-changing plays. Maybe you did get to Morton and you hit him from his blind side and he put it on the carpet. Maybe you were able to secure that tipped ball for an interception that for Kansas a couple of times this year has just fallen through their mitts. But it's going to take something like that and maybe a couple of those. But if you win the turnover battle, I think you got a great shot. And how about this? We talked about, like, Tech hasn't been in a close game yet this season. How will they react if they do? Tech hasn't faced Jalen Daniels ever.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Is that right?
Yes. Sixth year here.
So you know, they're going to see something on Saturday they've not seen. And my hope is that Jalen Daniels delivers, you know, a career performance with a receiver in Emmanuel Henderson that's as good as Tech will have faced to this point in the season too. So that's a hope for Kansas on Saturday as well.
Yeah. Brian Hanni, voice of the Jayhawks, joins us here in studio. Brian, I want to talk about your upcoming shows that you got with Hanni and the Hawks. First, though, as a former Texas Tech legend, what do you think about the unbeveling of the logos? Do you see the new logos that they're wheeling out there? What are your thoughts on that?
I saw some internet chatter about it. I haven't done a deep dive into it yet.
It looks dumb. I'll tell you that. I don't like it.
You won't get me to say that.
It's boring. I'll just say it's boring.
The double T is signature, hallmark, tradition rich down there, and I am far from a Tech legend, let me say. But I love my 4 years there. I'm still very close with their broadcasters and love Kirby Hocutt, their AD, and so many of their leaders on campus. It's exciting for them to see all the great things going on with what they're developing. I've not seen everything on the logo, though, so spare me that one.
I'll show it to you afterwards.
Yeah, but hey, tip of the cap to them in this new brave new world we're living in of revenue share and previously NIL. They've become major players nationwide, not just in the Big 12. And they're the flag carriers for Big 12 spending this year, thanks to what they've got with Cody Campbell and a great donor base. But you look at the Womble Center in basketball and everything else they've done, it's eye-opening and a little bit jaw-dropping. Here's the good news. Kansas, though, is right there with them. And in what I perceive to be a wide open frontier of who's going to take that flag carrier spot as the Big 12 leader across the board. With Texas gone, Oklahoma gone, it's open range here to seize that spot, capture the flag, right? Tech can be that with what they have in resources and facilities. Kansas can be that too. And the way Travis Goff is hired across the board with now 6 great head coaching hires, the way you've got people like David Booth and Dana Anderson and the heavy hitters on board, Kansas has just as much a shot to become that new Big 12 front runner department wide as anybody. And so Saturday night actually features two schools that I think have the inside track on being the new front runners of the Big 12, not just football, but across the board. And that has as much to do with our visionary athletic director, but also our generational generosity out of some of these guys like Booth and Anderson that have made us major players just as much as some other schools. Tech may be leading it in football rev share right now, but Kansas has made some great decisions with their resources, and we've got a chance to be just as winning, just as impactful September through May on our academic athletic campus.
Brian, tell us what you got going on coming up with Hanni and the Hawks, as well as Nate Miller Retirement Group.
You tried to ask about the logo, and then I go off on this little tangent. But hey, a lot of respect for people in both places. Hanni and the Hawks, we got the Todd Reesing episode up right now. Make sure you check that out here on Kansas Nation. He was so good. Sat right here and definitely crushed it.
Yeah.
Best person to sit on this couch since this studio's been open in the last 6 weeks.
We got to be a fly on the wall for it. It was awesome.
It was really good. We talked Mangino stories that were untold stories. We talked about his favorite 3 games, favorite 3 plays. We talked about the ultimate dream party crew for Todd Reesing, who I guess back in the day had a standing 12:15 a.m. bartender role after every KU win. He would be slinging drinks at Johnny's
awesome.
Tavern, where Sean sometimes moonlights from time to time. You've had to fill those very large shoes
Exactly.
admirably, but not quite to the legendary status of
The
Todd
fun
Reesing.
slinger.
Literally the fun slinger, because the fun in that case was in liquid
Yes,
form.
yes.
But he tells those stories, which are now fine to tell 16 years later.
Yeah, statute of limitations.
It's passed. So check that out. Then next week, Jared Casey, the mighty Casey. I know he's been on with you, talking a lot of present day KU football stuff. We did like a deep dive into his life as a football player growing up in Plainville, all the way through the Catch versus Texas, and then what's up next for him. So kind of a different line of questioning with a guy we all respect a ton, and so excited for him. He's got a big UFL tryout this weekend, so we're thinking about Jared for sure.
Yeah, and Nate Miller Retirement Group.
Yeah, he's not on the podcast yet, but he's a great sponsor of these updates, and a guy that I entrust so much of my future to, because he's really sound in his financial investment advising, on top of being super involved philanthropically in the Lawrence community. Check him out, millerretirementgroup.com. Whether you've got a big portfolio already or you're just starting one small like I did, Nate Miller, he's one of my best, closest buds in town, and a guy I really trust a great deal. Thanks so much, guys. Appreciate the chance to be on with you. Let's make it a night to remember down in Lubbock, Texas.
I'll be looking forward to it, and of course I'll be talking to BMAC and DL down the line after another Jayhawk victory. Those are fun, man. Those are fun when you guys bring home a win on the road, and this would be the best one yet if you're able to get it against the top 10 team. Brian Hanni, David Lawrence on the call. KU and Texas Tech Saturday at 6:30. You can listen on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Crimson and Blue Show starts at 5 o'clock. More coming up after this on KansasNation.com.
Hey, this is Cole Ballard, and you're watching KansasNation.com.
Welcome back to KansasNation.com. A lot going on right now in the sports world. Of course, MLB postseason. Dan, we haven't talked about it yet, but the Yankees went down, so only one game. The Tigers,
boys.
My boys. The
By the way,
Tigers came back.
Sean, noted Yankees fan.
We
Everybody
will
remember this.
We will have a Game 5, Tigers-Mariners in the Pacific Northwest.
Best 2 words of sports.
Tarek Skubal gets another shot, and he gets the ball in Game 5. That's going to be tomorrow. Today, a couple games on the National League side as the Phillies stole one on the road. They are down in the series against the Dodgers 2-1. Cubs won also yesterday, so a pair of Game 4s as the Cubs are down in the series to the Brewers 2-1. So excited to see who will come out. But the Jays, in beating the Yankees, are now in the American League Championship Series. So, Canada is particularly loud today. Yeah. Hey, Cam Pickett had his best game since Week 0 against Fresno State. He had 5 catches for 64 yards in the victory against UCF. Let's hear from Cam the other day.
Catches against UCF.
I felt good. Finally, feeling good. I was ready. We knew the game plan and just went out there. I knew I was going to be involved and I was ready to make plays.
What has that process been like? Because you've been playing, but since the first game, you haven't had as much time in the game until recently.
Just like I said, getting my body feeling back where it needs to be, and just doing whatever I need to do to help our team. Really.
Is it frustrating to have a first game like you did and have something where it limits your ability to make an impact?
Yeah, I mean, of course you always want to be on the field, but I knew, we need to put the players out there that do what the team needs, and just kept doing what I needed to do in the training room, and just got ready for it when my number was called again.
You feel like you're fully back now? 100%?
Yeah.
Do you feel like there are things you haven't shown yet, or do you feel like it's just more opportunities out there for you to show what you have?
I definitely feel like it's more things that I can do on the field. As the opportunities come, I'm just ready to make more plays.
For the second through fifth games, were they kind of telling you, hey, you got this amount of plays, or was it just kind of something where as the game went, they determined?
Yeah, through the weekend practice, we have our game plan, and however I'm involved in that, I'm prepared to do that. Of course, I try to learn every position so that wherever I might be needed, I'm prepared to go in the game. But we kind of go through that throughout the week, so we already know what the plan is for Saturday.
Cam, we hear a lot about like Emmanuel's speed. What is your strength? What do you do well?
I think I'm pretty fast too. He definitely he a burner, but I think I can run too. I think I can make guys miss, make hard catches. I feel like I can do it all.
What was that play like for you? You had the juggling catch up the seam.
It was good to just make a big play. Team needed. I wish I would have stayed up and scored a touchdown, but it's just good to be able to make another play.
What do you see from Texas Tech on film?
They got some good pressure up front. They definitely have a dynamic defense, but we're confident in what we have and our game plan that we think we're able to that we need to do on Saturday.
Seems like different guys keep stepping up every week from the wide receiver. What's it been like for you guys inside the room throughout the week and then kind of on game day as well?
It's kind of like how we said, at the beginning of the season, we feel like we have a guy that can do everything. We feel like we have a lot of depth in our room. I think as the season is going on, we continue to show that, and we're going to continue to do that as the season progresses.
With Texas Tech bringing a lot of pressure up front, does that kind of change your mentality going into this game of like, oh, hey, I got to look for the ball a little earlier in my route tree, or how does that affect you?
Well, we feel like we have the protection we need up front, but as a receiver, you always want to get open as soon as possible. So whether that might have to get open sooner or not, we're just always prepared to just get open when we need to.
Coach Zebrowski's talked about the different ways you've been used so far. What's it been like? Like you said, learning different positions, but then actually going out and being relied on in some of those different spots.
It's fun. You play football. You hope that you'll be a guy that that a coach wants to put in different positions to be able to make plays, and so to be in that position it makes it a lot more fun to play.
Thanks, Kim.
That's wide receiver Cam Pickett, who spoke to the media the other day. Pickett having his best game since the Fresno State game, Dan. 38-yard completion. That was huge in the second half. He had the 38-yarder. Bowden Gruen had a 46-yarder, most of which was after the catch. Some playmakers on the outside at a time where Kansas really needed it.
Yeah, and you heard Brian talk about it, and Cam Pickett talked about it in that as well. He said this is really the first time that he's felt 100% healthy since the Fresno State game. We saw what he did in the Fresno State game with 77 yards, 2 touchdowns, both technically through the air, but both of them were out of the backfield. Hadn't scored a touchdown since the Wagner game, but still had 64 yards on 5 receptions in that UCF game with that big 38-yarder, and you can see the raw athleticism that he has, and he's ready to play at this Power 4 level, and he's going to continue to grow as the season goes on if he continues to stay healthy, and he is going to, I think, still turn into that kind of reception guy through these last 6 games.
One thing we haven't seen as much of as I thought maybe we would are Cam Pickett as a ball carrier.
Yeah.
We've seen Emmanuel Henderson get the ball a couple times, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's somewhere in the playbook because, we've seen him up and close and personal at these media days. Like, he's a big dude. Like, he's a muscular dude. He can take some hits, and we know that KU utilized Luke Rim a lot in that role as kind of a wide receiver, halfback hybrid, I guess, as carrier 2 per game.
As Coach Zebrowski would say, he's like, hey, you just have to see.
Yeah.
He always says that Matt Tate will always ask him, hey, are we going to see X, Y, and Z in the playbook? And Jim Zebrowski always goes, you have to see. You have to wait and see. So hopefully we do get to see that because we know that he is experienced ball carrier. We saw that in his Ball State days, but Emmanuel Henderson doing it as well. Obviously, did you know that he was a 5-star running back
I heard that
coming out of
somewhere.
high school?
Yeah, I heard that.
I think everybody.
No. Wait till I tell you about Marcus Calvin.
You're kidding. No, wait, tell me.
In high school,
what was his weight room like?
Well, I'll tell you this much: there wasn't a single barbell.
You're kidding.
It was
It's the
true.
first time I'm hearing
It
this.
was true. Hey, defensively, as Haney talked about, KU had 8 or 9 different guys make huge individual plays. The biggest one that probably isn't talked about as much because it wasn't a part of the goal line stands was the Austin Alexander pass breakup the next possession when UCF was trying to tie the game. What a play by Austin Alexander, KU's redshirt freshman. Let's hear from him earlier this week. Austin, just talk about the second half defensively. You guys didn't give up any points and a couple huge stops late.
Yeah, definitely. We came out the locker room hot. Like, offense telling us they got us, and defense telling the offense we got them. So that's pretty much what it was.
What was that late pass breakup like for you?
It felt great, you know. They just hit me with like a out route right before. So then I'm like, I gotta lock this guy up. I'm on the island, and he went in. I slipped the hip. Got the pass breakup.
Being on an island, having the responsibility you have, how have you kind of grown into that over the course of the season?
They in practice they definitely challenged me throughout the week, so that's probably the biggest thing. Cause our wide receivers are great, so they challenge me the most. You got Jayhawks Daniel passing the ball. So.
Coach GK said that pass breakup was one of the best plays he's seen this season. Mm-hmm. Like when the route's going on, walk us through kind of your mindset, what you're seeing.
Well, all I was seeing was there was a lot of space to the outside, and like I said before, they just hit me with the out route. So I'm thinking maybe he gonna try to go back out. But the film that we've been watching on them, they like doing end breaking routes. So I'm like, if he go in, I got enough space to let him cross my face and just slip his hip. That's exactly what happened.
First year contributing right on the field in Big 12 games.
Yeah.
How much has your confidence increased over the course of the year?
My confidence definitely increased a lot. You know, starting from game one, from game 1 to game 7. My confidence definitely came up.
Hey, talk about the goal line stand. Just what was the communication and talk with you guys about each down?
The goal line stand, my job was to make sure nothing get outside of me. So everybody looked at one another, and we just did our job. We did our 111.
I'm curious, the confidence, how does that manifest itself on the field for you?
Confident, because when you're not confident and playing out there nervous, you gonna make some mistakes. Like you're not gonna make the play that you should have made that if you were confident. So at best.
What are your thoughts on Texas Tech?
Texas Tech, they're a great team with their 5-0. So it's gonna be a good challenge to go out there and compete.
What do you see from their wide receivers on tape?
They got some good wide receivers. You know, they some long, lengthy wide receivers. So I really think it's gonna be a good matchup.
It's another road night game after the one against UCF. Does the experience with UCF maybe help you guys prepare for this one?
Definitely, you know, but it's kind of just cool playing in different atmospheres. Me personally, I like playing away sometimes.
Where do you feel like you guys are at from a secondary standpoint in general?
Oh yeah, our secondary we come together. You know, we got some guys banged up, but different guys are stepping up. So that's what I really like about the room. Like nobody flinching, that people went down at all. We stepping up.
Jalen makes the big play with the sack fumble. Just what was the energy like after that?
Oh, the energy was out the roof. We on the sideline like we got to finish this game. That's pretty much how it was.
What's it like for you as a corner when some of those safeties are kind of continuously rotating in and out? Just what's that like for you out there?
It's normal to me because I play with everybody in practice. We get to rotate in practice, so you gonna be with maybe a 3, maybe sometimes it might happen, but you gonna tell us.
What have you seen from Jalen Todd playing at nickel in the recent games?
Oh yeah, I love Jalen Todd playing at nickel. Like he looked good in there. Like nobody he had to step up. He played it before, but he had to step up and go play nickel, and he did just that.
I remember talking to you during camp about kind of just the physicality and how you've improved. What's it been like keeping that up over the course of a season when you are being relied upon?
You know, it's kind of normal. Like when you get out there, it kind of just feel like maybe high school all over again with just a little bigger guy. So you get used to it. As now I'm used to it. At first maybe some of these got a little big, but now it's just all right, they know.
Have you guys had a lot of conversations just about the challenge of going to face a top 10 team? And I know you guys are excited, but what have those conversations been like so far this week?
It's gonna be a big game. It's a game we gotta win because it's the next game, so it's the most important game. That's what I really think. That's what we've really been talking about pretty much.
Anything else?
Thank
Awesome.
you.
That's Austin Alexander. Man, just one of many young players that this KU defense has. We kind of were joking about Marcus Calvin and his lack of barbell in his high school gym. Didn't have one. In his
Didn't
high school
have
gym.
one.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Man.
He's a young player for Kansas defensively. Blake Harreld has already had his moments this year. We talked about Taylor Davis. Jalen Todd, a guy who is proving his versatility on the defensive side. But Alexander kind of had his first of what we think will be many moments against the Knights.
Yeah, I think you can look at that and say that's probably that's the most important individual defensive play that we've seen throughout this year. Because if that would have been given up, then it would have been the same old story of, oh, here comes UCF. They're going to come back. They're going to win this game. And same old story. Austin Alexander being able to get that PBU late in the game was absolutely huge. And he's done quite a good job of filling those large shoes. We talked about Devin Neal and the shoes that he has left for Daniel Highshaw and Le'Shawn Williams, how big of shoes those are. We haven't really talked a whole lot about how, hey, Kansas lost 2 All-American corners.
And they wore shoes too.
And they also wore shoes. Can you believe this? But big shoes to fill, and Jalen Todd and Austin Alexander have done a great job of filling those shoes. And you can actually look at some of the mistakes that Kobe and Melo made, and you can look at Jalen Todd and Austin Alexander, and you can say that they're not making those same mistakes. They're not jumping on balls. They're doing great in coverage. They're doing exactly what they need to do. So Austin Alexander has stepped up huge, and he's still young. So this is a guy you're going to see in the future. I believe he's only a sophomore this year.
Redshirt freshman.
Redshirt freshman. This is his second year of the program. So you're going to see a lot more of Austin Alexander, and he's going to be a program guy, and you can only see him continuing to grow. He's not going to be as good as a senior Kobe Bryant or a senior Melo Dotson, but like I said, only a redshirt freshman, going to continue to get better, and we're seeing that right now.
The next step for KU's secondary and defense as a whole, something I've talked about often, is the takeaways, right? You got the game-changing takeaway with the Jalen Dye sack fumble that Trey Lathan picked up against UCF. Winning that battle, we're going to talk about every week, as a key to the game. It goes without saying. But it's a lot easier to win that battle on the flip side if your offense doesn't turn it over. And that was the case on the road in a Big 12 game. It starts with the quarterback. JD played mistake-free football, no turnovers for the offense. The defense got the one crucial takeaway. That was the difference in the game, a 7-point win for KU. Hey, after this, we are talking KU women's basketball. Samaya Nichols recognized in the preseason. We'll tell you where the Jayhawks fell in the preseason poll in the 16-team conference, plus KU volleyball update and more. That's next on Rock Chalk Sports. Thanks for watching on KansasNation.com.
This is Daniel Highshaw, and you're watching KansasNation.com.
Welcome back to Rock Chalk Sports. Hey, KU volleyball was in action last night. They are still really doing really well this year. I mean, honestly, they've got 7 losses, but in the top 20, they've been that consistently. They improved to 12-7, Dan, last night at Horse, the first of a 2-match homestand as they took down Texas Tech.
Yeah, where were you during the Jovana Zelenovic game? She had 7 of the 12 aces against Texas Tech. 3-0 was the final, 25-12, then 25-16, then 25-18 over Texas Tech. Texas Tech's not very good. They're 0-5 in Big 12 play right now, 8-9 on the season. Also, if you look at it, the 12 service aces by Kansas is the 3rd most in program history in a set 3 match. Zelenovic's 7 is 2nd most in school history for a 3-set match as well. Reese Patek had 2 aces. Nelson, White, and Bell each had 1. Jovana Zelenovic also had 7 kills too. So Jovana Zelenovic had a fantastic game all throughout, doing it on the service end as well as on the front end. So a great showing by Kansas volleyball, and kind of a tone setter for what is going to be the rest of the season. You got a tough season still ahead of you, right? Not as many top 15 teams as you once saw, but still it's good for momentum for Kansas to be able to sweep Texas Tech, a conference team. Yes, they're not the best conference team. Like I said, they're 0-5 in conference play right now, but still being able to sweep them and move forward, especially at Horse, a packed house. Really fantastic showing by Jovana Zelenovic as well as the rest of the Kansas volleyball squad.
Yeah, 12 service aces is crazy, especially in a 3-set match, but no problem for the Jayhawks. Next up is going to be tomorrow, as I said, 6 o'clock back at Horse against an unranked Iowa State team. If you win that, you're 13-7. Then you go to Houston. That's a winnable game. And then you're back at home. You've got 2 more at home, one at Horsch against a TCU team that beat you a little bit earlier this season. And then you get K-State at Allen Fieldhouse. So that's going to be an electric game, electric weekend, really, for KU Athletics, as that's going to be on Friday, October 24th at 8 o'clock. Just prior to that is the KU men's basketball exhibition against Louisville at the KFC Yum Center in Louisville at 6:30. That tip-off was announced a little bit earlier this week. And then, of course, Saturday is the Dillon Sunflower Showdown. No game time yet for KU K-State on the gridiron. That should come out on Monday. We hope it is on Monday, and we'll keep you up to date on that front. But, yeah, the weekend of October 24th, 25th will be a big one here on the call. KU women's basketball, it just came out a little bit earlier today, picked 6th in the 16-team preseason all Big 12 poll. The preseason all Big 12 women's basketball team included Samaya Nichols for the 2nd consecutive season. It's a 10-player preseason poll. Nichols, a unanimous selection. Of course, she's a local kid from Overland Park. She had some injuries last year toward the end of the year that were really upsetting for her and the KU program, but now a 2-time all Big 12 first-team selection. She was 5th in the conference in scoring at 18.6 points per game, scored in double figures 26 times. She was really the main key to KU's offense last year. They should have a little bit more punch to pack on the offensive side this year, and we'll go through some of those. But KU picked 6th out of 16. Pretty solid. We know that they've got reinforcements coming in, and really excited about the freshman class.
Yeah, I mean, look, you can look at this and say, okay, well, yes, they have a big freshman class, but also, we haven't seen them play yet, right? Kind of same with Darren Peterson, although we know Darren Peterson is going to be an excellent basketball player, but still with Libby Fandel, Keely Parks, and Jalea Davis as well. Tatiana Brown is another one we hardly ever talk about too. All 4 of those freshmen coming in going to be potentially making an impact right away. I mean, you look at that and you go, man, this team is going to be really good. I understand why they picked them 6, because TCU, Iowa State, Baylor are all going to be fantastic. Oklahoma State and West Virginia are right above them as well. But this Kansas team is going to be nothing to scoff at. And Samaya Nichols is going to be leading the way. She has been by far and away the best player on this Kansas squad for the last 2 years. Obviously deserving of a unanimous selection in the preseason All Big 12 team, one of 6 players out of the 10 for the All Big 12 team, alongside, Dariana Littlepage Buggs, as well as Audie Crooks, Olivia Miles. I mean, you look at these names are names that you know in the Big 12, and Samaya Nichols is right there with them. Hopefully she's able to stay healthy and lead the pack, because she is going to be the head of the snake for this Kansas women's basketball program as well. She's going to be the facilitator. She's going to be the one getting the ball to Jalea Davis and Keely Parks and Libby Fandel, whoever the starting 5 is going to be. And there are going to be some moving pieces around. We're going to be seeing probably more rotation than maybe what we saw last year, just because of the fact that this Kansas team, even though there's only 12 players, they still have more depth, I think, than they did last year. So you're going to be seeing a lot of these girls out there, and they're going to be working in the freshmen too. So the freshmen are only going to get better throughout the year. It's going to be exciting to see. Samaya Nichols leads the charge, so very well deserved for her to be preseason All Big 12.
Crooks, you mentioned of Iowa State. She's the preseason Big 12 Player of the Year. Olivia Miles of TCU, she came over from Notre Dame. She is the preseason Big 12 Newcomer of the Year. TCU picked as the preseason favorite. Iowa State is 2nd. Again, Kansas 6th in the 16-team conference.
My thing is, preseason Freshman of the Year is D. Alexander for Cincinnati. Like, it's crazy to me, and I'm sure they might have gotten votes, but you look at that freshman class, at least the 3, right, with Libby Fandel, Keely Parks, and Jalea Davis, you can look at those 3 and say those girls right there should be at least honorable mention for preseason Freshman of the Year, and one of them potentially could win Big 12 Freshman of the Year. So keep your eye out for them.
Jalea Davis definitely should be a starter for Kansas, and yeah, she's going to get hers, so excited for that. And KU, of course, really looking forward to what the veterans and Samaya Nichols and Elle Evans can do for this squad. A week from tomorrow, late night in the fog, you get to see the KU women and men in action for their scrimmages, 6:30 at Allen Fieldhouse. Tickets are live, by the way, so check those out. Keep up to date with everything on kansasnation.com. All right, Thursday Night Football game picks, a Saquon Barkley revenge game, right? This is a revenge game of all revenge games, as the Eagles head to the Meadowlands to take on the New York Football Giants. Dan, first looking at the line, Eagles are laying 7, over-under is 40.5.
I think I like the under here because the Eagles offense has been struggling as of late, right? They like you said, kind of working towards potentially being a mess, right? I think there's maybe some things there that they need to work out. Our offensive line, I don't think, is as strong as it was last year. So I think I like the under in this game, even though the public likes the over at 40.5. It's still a relatively low line. I still like the under here at -105. I think the Eagles are going to win this game. Is it going to be by a touchdown? I don't think so. Give me the Giants +100 at +7. I like the
Giants
Giants
+100.
here.
I would take.
Well, Giants +100. Giants at +7. That's at +100 right now. I think it's going to be a close game, right? These Thursday Night Football standalone games. It's a rivalry game, quote unquote, if you can. I mean, NFC East, so these interdivision games always get a little weird. I think Jackson Dart's really going to come out and show what he's made of. I like Jackson Dart in this game to go over 180. It's at -107. I think he's going to go over 200 here, but I think the story of it is going to be Saquon Barkley. Right now, he's at 90+ yards at -107. Love that value for him. He's going to go over 100 for sure. They're going to try to feed him the rock a ton because they still understand that, hey, this is a rivalry game. Not a rivalry game, a revenge game for Saquon Barkley. So I think that Nick Sirianni and company, they understand that they really are going to try to feed Saquon the ball, which is why I think this is going to hit the under too, because Vic Fangio has done a great job with this Philadelphia defense. He's one of the best defensive coordinators in the league right now. Eagles offense isn't very great, so they're going to burn a lot of clock by giving Saquon the ball a ton. Jackson Dart, I think they're still not comfortable with him fully giving him the reins in throwing the ball. I still think he's going to go over 200 yards, but I still think that this is going to be a run down the clock type of game. So that's why I like the under. But Saquon over 90, easy money.
I think I disagree with you, actually.
Really?
Give me the Eagles -7 over under. Give me the over 40.5. I'm thinking 31-13 in this game. Eagles are going to score in the 30s in this one. And I just think it's a get right game for them, right?
I mean,
you talked about how they've been struggling. I get that.
The two defenses are what highlight this game.
Yeah, I know, but the Eagles offense has been poopy. Yeah. And they're going to get right against the Giants, who are not very good. I always the rushing yards by itself from a running back always scares me because I'm worried about the dump-offs.
Sure.
So give me Saquon similar odds at 110+ rushing plus receiving yards to get to 110 total. I also think A.J. Brown gets in at +195. I like the value there. But, that's going down tonight. Thursday Night Football, Eagles at Giants. We'll break that down tomorrow on Rock Chalk Sports. For Elijah Schmidt running the operations today and Dan Courtwright, Sean Kellerman saying catch us tomorrow. KU Texas Tech, a big one as KU faces the team ranked number 9 in the country. Thanks for watching on KansasNation.com.